Folks, if you have picked up a new MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, this video is going to showcase how to set it up from scratch. Now, I picked up a M1 Max yesterday. My previous video talked about the 2024 best deals you could get on laptops. Be sure to check it out. And what I actually did was pick up a deal. I have a 14-inch M1 Max that I'm setting up and keeping long term. And so this video showcases how to set up your laptop to be full productivity suite. And if you have the same use case as me, I am a part-time YouTuber and I work full-time. I set up the Office suite, how to set up Microsoft Teams, Microsoft PowerPoint, stuff of that nature. I also showcase how I set up my YouTubing setup, as well as my productivity and also some light gaming. So I've used to coming from a Windows device, so I have some things that I install to make Mac be more like Windows. So with all that being said, let's take a look at all my configurations that I do when setting up a Mac, and hopefully this helps you out set up your Mac as well. Hey folks, so one of the first things you'll want to do, or I recommend doing, is setting up your iCloud account. So once you put in your details and put in your passcode, if you have an iPhone, you'll be logged into iCloud. And the first things I do is the whole reason of having a Mac is so you can text people on Messenger. So you want to go into your settings and turn on messages in the cloud. So once you have that turned on in the iCloud settings, the next thing you'll want to do is also open Messages app. So once you have it opened here, you could go into the system preferences of Messages and hit sync now. And now everything from your iPhone will be synced over to your MacBook and you can begin texting. One of the things I also like is the Windows Snap functionality. So I use this tool. There may be other YouTubers out there who use other tools. I use Magnet. What this basically means is once you set it up and go to the security settings, you'll be able to use Command or really any hotkey you use, but I like keeping it like the Windows version is, where you press the Windows key and the arrow keys on your keyboard and it snaps the window to left or right. Once you go into settings and set the right accessibility, you'll be able to have some features like you do on Windows. So here you click on the control center. I put mine to command left and command right. And then I have one also for maximize, which is command up. And basically what that means is once I have this set up and properly used, I could go to any window, press the right keys, and you see there how it snapped up and left and right. And here I press Windows up to make it go full screen. So that's a cool tool I use. Alfred's the next tool, and it is an app that I use to replace Spotlight. Because I use it to replace Spotlight, what you'll have to do is go into your keyboard settings and actually change the hotkeys or disable Spotlight. This is not necessary, but this is my workflow because I like the command space option to bring up Alfred and I don't want to use Spotlight. So when you go into system settings, you could click the buttons and search for keyboard or just click keyboard. It's located here in the very bottom of the system settings, keyboard shortcuts, and then you go to settings and you could turn off the Spotlight settings when you click on Spotlight. Then now that's gone, you could change the keyboard settings of Alfred to be command space and the Alfred window pops up. And I just prefer this because I think it's better than Spotlight features. It goes into your files and typically finds better system settings from my perspective. So one of the other things I also like doing is I have a certain preference that I prefer of taking screenshots. You could use the default settings and Mac OS is great at taking screenshots from the system level, but I prefer to just have simple shortcuts of Command Shift 3 and Command Shift 4 and Command Shift 5 to be the settings for taking screenshots, with Command Shift 3 being the one to save the files, Command Shift 4 to be the one that actually makes it on the clipboard so you can paste it on iMessages or anywhere you message people, or that's my use case for doing it. And then Command Shift 5 is to bring up the options so that if you wanted to perhaps record a video, those are the commands I use for taking screenshots. And if you saw that little thing pop up on the bottom, what you could also do is if you search settings on Apple, but this is what I did, you press Command Shift 5 and now when you take a screenshot that gets saved, it no longer gives you that preview window. So let's talk about installing Office 365. So when you log in, this is my work account, so I blocked everything. But you simply go to office.com and when you sign in, you click installed apps and it should download the files for you. You could also click the other system setting and download it as well. But I will keep in mind that you won't be able to get all the tools such as Visio. And so if you need Visio, you'll have to install a compute Windows emulation thing. And speaking of which, one of them is also what I use to play video games. You go to getwhiskey.app you download that, and once it downloads to your finding, you simply double click it and follow the instructions to install the right settings. Yeah, so one of the first things it said to do was move the applications folder, but I didn't think that worked, so I manually did that myself. You can check and update settings, but the first thing it will do is install Rosetta. So if you've never run a Windows app before, that's one of the first things it will say to make sure you have installed. Once that's done, you'll also need to then download GPTK, which is the Game Port Toolkit. This is a special kind of thing developed by Apple, which allows you to play DirectX 12 games. It takes a while to download, but once you get it all set up, there's more that you'll have to do to start playing video games. But the first thing you have to do is get it downloaded. So what I recommend is going to Steam Power, and then once you try to install Steam, it will try to install the Apple version, but the whole point of this is to play Windows games. So you click the Windows icon and you can download the .exe, being the way that you install Windows apps. And here it will tell you that you need to have a bottle. So what you'll want to do is, I don't know why it doesn't let you create a bottle when installing stuff, but I just create a bottle, Windows 10, under Steam. Now that I've created that bottle, then you could go back and open steam.exe and install it into that bottle. So, and long story being short, bake a bottle and then install this Windows version of Steam on that bottle that you just made. Then a little bit of context is like, bottle is essentially something from wine, and wine is a way to emulate Windows. So all that being said, you're emulating Windows, you're installing the Windows version of Steam, and you'll then, once you get Steam loaded, you could finally play Windows games on your Mac OS. So if you followed my channel at all, you'll know that the typical game that I test out and play is Marvel Spider-Man. So that's what I'm doing now. You see here that I have the option to install it, where if this was the if this was the Mac OS version, you couldn't even install it. And all I want to say is that not every game runs. Be sure to check out, there's another popular YouTuber called Andrew Tsai, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He does the Apple Gaming Wiki, and he's a really great resource if you wanted to find out which games run or not. But I'll just say that if it has anti-cheat, it probably won't run, and then besides, that's the only thing to look out for. But games like Spider-Man will run just fine. The whole point of this when I first started was to talk about installing Visio. You could install Visio through Whiskey, but also something I like doing is having VM Fusion. This is 100% free software that you could use, and all it does is it installs a Windows 11 ARM version. You register for a license, which is 100% free. You download the software, and then you download Windows. So here I'm showcasing that I have the thing downloaded. I skipped ahead. Once you first install Windows, it will ask you to download Windows, and I just do professional. Here it takes some time to actually start downloading Windows. So after you wait around a while, you'll finally get to the Windows 11 setup. I choose no license key because Windows 11 ARM is actually free as well, but it'll tell you to activate or install. You don't have to. And then from here, you just follow along and click along to what I've done, but essentially you install Windows on a partition and VM Fusion will run the software. Now I did a video on this earlier in my channel which talked about Windows versus Parallels versus everything else. I will say that Parallels does get you up and running faster than VM Fusion because VM Fusion installs a raw version of Windows 11 from scratch. Once you have Windows 11 installed, you'll want to install VM Tools, which is what I just showcased there. You could go back in the video to at any point and pause or leave comments below if you have any questions. But I simply did virtual machine install VM Tools, and then it allows me to run the exe file. And from there, you just follow the instructions of what to do. I just clicked through. I was clicking really fast, but it's a typical installation. And then it will ask you to restart your computer. And you can see now that things got really small because it's doing the Retina display. Once you restart your computer, you should be good to go. And of course, now that we have VM Fusion, which is running Windows ARMs, once we go back to office.com and sign in, and we choose the settings to install Windows Office 365 apps, for some reason it takes a really long time to load. I think it could be because there's only 4 cores running instead of 10, but you can see here we could install Office, and now we also have the option to install Visio as well. So when we click down, we do install Visio, and it will download something that for some reason is the same title as the other one, which is Office (1), which means it's a duplicate. But the first one will install Microsoft Teams and Office to your Windows 11 ARM, and the second one will install Visio if you need to install Visio. Lastly, one other option there are multiple options to get Windows on your computer. This one involves actually having a desktop or another separate Windows machine. It's called Parsec, and it's basically a way to remote desktop into a computer, and I happen to have a desktop laying around. So when I log into Parsec, it shows my Plex server, or you can do anything that you could do with really low latency, I'll say. Especially if you're far away, it doesn't even matter if you're at the home client or not. So I didn't record much, but I'll do a freeze frame here. Basically, it's a way to remote desktop into a desktop, and it has really low latency, so I would recommend installing it as well if you have a computer. Now, for more productivity, besides installing Office, one thing that I still have to do is Zoom calls. They're not all just team calls. You can go to Zoom, and once you install it, it will ask for an auto update. They run pretty well on Apple Silicon devices, and I really like what they did here with the Zoom type setting. So that's a thing that I install as well. I also do WhatsApp. Now we're moving away from productivity and into kind of the unwinding section of what I do. I install WhatsApp. I think it's a great tool for messaging people, and it's 100% encrypted. You install the app, you'll install a QR code, and once you get that QR code sent from recent messages, it will sync everything and you'll be good to go and start messaging people. So one setting that I like turning on, besides, well, trackpad, you can turn off natural scrolling, but here there's something called App Expose, where you swipe with 3 fingers down. What that basically means is, if you're familiar with Mac OS, you could swipe 3 fingers up, you'll get all the apps that you have, and you can choose. It's like a Windows management, but if you swipe 3 fingers down, it's just the app based thing. So I have 2 windows of Google Chrome, and when I swipe 3 fingers down, it just shows Google Chrome. All right, folks, so that's Mac, and one of the cool things also with Mac, if you have an iPhone, is you can do continuity camera. So I'm literally recording myself from the iPhone and then doing a little selfie vlog type content here. I do want to say that I appreciate everyone watching the channel. If you check out my personal channel, I have more travel tips and vlog and more behind the scenes, so it's a different flavor than this straightforward laptop reviews. And the reason I'm promoting this is because, to be honest, I got bored just doing the day-to-day buy a laptop, do the same Dota 2 reviews. So I'd really appreciate if people check the other channel out. You don't have to, no pressure. You may just be here to learn about technology and stuff. I'm still going to be posting to Blend Logic Tech, but I did just get monetized, and I'll just say, you know, variety is the spice of life. I like posting on vlogging and stuff of that nature, so you could expect that type of content here. And even this type of outro is more, oh, almost broke my laptop. This type of outro is more to my flavor of how I like talking, more natural, more relaxed than robot voice. This is how to use a laptop. So that's my conclusion. Hope you guys are enjoying your laptop. Let me know if you have any questions from technology on your laptop, or from technology questions. There's tons of other resources on YouTube, but also on my channel of testing various software on the MacBook. And I hope you guys have a great day. Todo bang, salamat. That's some Filipino and Brazilian for you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.